Well, we return today to begin season 12 at Southend United with our first ever Community Shield final. Yes, not the biggest competition in the world, but a signal of how much we've succeeded in recent years. And after three brilliant early signings this summer, I'm more optimistic than ever of a really good season at the club. Yes, hello and welcome along to part 91 and season 12 of Saving Southend with me, Daniel. We are back today as we take on Manchester United, the old nemesis, in a Community Shield final at Wembley. We won on our last visit there, albeit against Championship opposition in the FA Cup final, and that's the reason, after narrowly losing out on the title for the first time, we are now facing them at Wembley again. We got battered by them in the Champions League and in the Premier League last year. But we beat them in the FA Cup on our route to the final. If you're looking forward to seeing if we can do it again, please do put a thumbs up on it. There's a lot of promise around the club at the moment because we've signed three very good young players early on in the window. We've still made a profit while only letting squad players leave the club, and I feel we are in an improved position overall. But we are starting to get to that next phase again. Players asking for increased contracts, asking for things beyond our top earners, and that might lead to more unhappiness that if we can't resolve after the window and all the pressures have gone, might lead to a bit more of an overhaul than we liked at the top level of the club later on during this season. For now though, if you're looking forward to this one, please do chuck a thumbs up on it. As you may have noticed at the top right of the screen, we have not had a lot of luck with our start to the season yet again this year. Because after this game in 6 days' time, we begin the season against Arsenal, Manchester City and Aston Villa in our first three games. So before we get to the European fixtures, definitely got a few tough ones. Now, you could argue that works in our favour, that we'll have one game a week when we've got the hardest sides. Then when we get through to games we should win, the likes of Hull, Derby, Norwich, Brentford, Leeds, Brighton, we'll be able to rotate a little bit in those because we'll have been playing European fixtures in midweek, but I'm not sure I'm confident enough on that yet. For now though, we're going to reflect on a summer transfer window that's been pretty fruitful, I would say. We have had a few difficulties with getting players out of the club, and a few have left temporarily rather than permanently, which we prefer. But those that have left generally we've made a profit on, and the ones coming in have certainly made an impact on the squad. Let's have a look at the release players and then all the ones in and out. So even though we did only have one senior release player this summer, I did feel we had to highlight it because I keep talking about our brilliant recruitment and some of the transfers that have gone really well. The fact that we're making big profits on players, we're increasing values and getting big development. But there are still one or two that don't work out at any club, and Alexis Orellana is certainly one of them. We brought him in as our backup goalkeeper to become our first choice back in 2031-32. £4.5 million we paid, and he did play a few cup games, but he never really got to the next level. He then spent 3 years out on loan, and after playing for Coventry last season and doing well in the Championship, he's now gone to join them permanently, where I think it probably is his level in fairness, but he just didn't improve. He didn't get to that next level, and despite playing regular international football and football out on loan, he never looked like he was going to be great enough. And to be fair, he was knocked back by the fact that I kept playing Caljo when he didn't deserve to, and then Jude Sadler came in and just became more brilliant than we expected. So Orellana, one of those we have lost money on, but we've made it back. Don't you worry about that. Let's go through to the transfers, and we'll start with the end of last season, where actually all three of our signings sit because we got our work done very early. Our latest signing was the 13th of June when the window opened. So no hanging around, we have done what we need to, and our business starts with a big signing, a record signing for this football club. And it's for a young youth backup centre-half from Reading. Kieran Peacock comes in for £27.5 million, which was his active release clause there. He's now a 19-year-old centre-half, but joined us at the age of 18, so will become homegrown at the club crucially for Europe. He has 2.5-star ability with 5-star potential. He's 6'4", he's great in the air, got a brilliant personality, yet another model citizen. And while there are some deficits in his game, composure and pace being two of them, I just felt that the combination of personality and quality and height meant I couldn't avoid signing him. He's got an under-21 international history already. He looks like he's going to be the real deal. And my thought process probably on this one is even if he doesn't improve, we'll probably get the 25-30 million back. If he does improve, we might have a world-class centre-half on the way that will be homegrown at the club. So that deal for me is a bit of a gem. 25 grand a week on a 5-year deal. They're still a little bit heavy at centre-half because I've not been able to loan out some of the ones I wanted to. But overall, I think this is a really good deal and worth the gamble as a new record signing. And the last one where I sort of sat on it and doubted whether I would do it was Joe Wills. And look what happened to him. He's become a superstar. So another model citizen in at the football club, a young English star. He is followed up by our favourite trip to South America and Uruguay. From Nacional for 6 million quid comes Luis Vasquez, who is a left winger and striker that I am very fond of. He is 18 years of age. He will again become homegrown at the club. Only 30 grand a week on a 5-year deal, but already 3-star ability, 5-star potential, another wonder kid, found for next to nothing by our recruitment team. He's got a resolute personality. He's got that South American flair. He's an international player with fantastic technique. And although he's not natural as a left midfielder, which we are training and will take a bit of time, he's also a brilliant striker. He can play number 10 if we need to go more aggressive in any games for any reason. And I just think he's going to be an absolute star. We had a couple with Distillery, didn't we, in FM23, and with Hemel, to be fair, in FM22. Uruguay just seems to produce some of the best talent in modern FMs, and this guy is very much going to be one of them. If he doesn't throw his toys out the pram, and if we can keep him happy and developing, I'd be surprised if he's not here to the end of the save. That's my opinion on him. The third one, and the final signing this summer, is actually the one that we agreed first. I mentioned we were sitting on deals for a while, and this is one of them. And then I realised I was only sitting on this deal because he wasn't 6 foot, which was stupid. Dion Drena Kranjic has come in for 9.25 million from Dinamo. Unfortunately, he was 19 before he joined, so won't become homegrown. But look at him. A professional personality, a wonder kid, 4-star ability, 5-star potential, banging in goals for Dinamo and Croatia already. A centre forward who can play off the right wing, where he's actually going to have to cover today, ironically. A centre forward with real star quality. His jumping reach is actually improving, which is important for me. But he's quicker than Ivanov, he's better technically than Ivanov, and he's pretty much there mentally as well. I've got a feeling we might have a new superstar in the next year or two. We've now got Joe Wills, Teddy Ivanov, Kranjic, and we've got Mauricio as well. Joe Hugill may or may not leave before the end of this summer. But overall, our centre forward line now is stacked with quality. And if we're going to persist with 2 up front, we've got to make sure we can outscore the opposition. And this guy will help us to do that. It means we can rotate again without having any major problems. So that is a third and most successful, fantastic signing this summer. But it has meant there have been a number of players leaving the club since the season finished. Some of whom were part of our squad last year. Some of whom were out on loan. Some of whom we've been looking to get rid of a while. Let's have a look through them. So at the end of the season, a few loan deals out. I should mention as well, by the way, and I'm going to briefly introduce them. We've signed 3 young youth players, but they're very much for the B team now. So Shavon Abrahams comes in. He was released by Chelsea, I think. Yes, he was. He's 18 years of age, should be a decent player. Has gone out on loan now to Bristol Rovers. Matty Simmons has come in from Arsenal. Not quite as good, but worth the gamble. Has gone out on loan again. He is at... God, I can't even see who that is from there. Where have you gone on loan, Matty Simmons? Hereford, who have come back up a division. And then Rob Jones, a young left winger who's not great. Not got the best personality. But he has gone out on loan to Woking, where hopefully he has a good year. But of them, probably Abraham's the only one I'm hoping to make a profit on. Albeit, suggests he could reach first team level. So we'll wait and see. Let's look at the players out, though, as we promised. We start the summer with, well, Simmons, Abrahams and Jones going out on loan, but also a couple of other important deals. Kevin Golobeck, a young goalkeeper, out on loan to Shrewsbury. Looks like he might actually make it as a third choice in the next couple of years. Marcus Obekjar has gone out on loan to Plymouth. He came in as this brilliant young wonder kid, but we've progressed so quickly that although he might become a decent Premier League player, I just don't think he'll be good enough for us. Played half a season at Kilmarnock last year. He's gone to the Championship now. We'll see if he can get regular football this season. Then we have to say a big goodbye to a very important player. Sam Amo Amiu, over a mix of loan spells from Southampton and as a permanent player, has been a wonderful contributor to this football club. He's gone to Hull for £20 million, which for perspective is an increase of 12.5 from what we signed him for. Maybe 11 if you account the loan fee from the year before. If you remember, he first came on loan in our championship winning season, where from Southampton he became a star, 10 assists in that year as we won promotion. In our first Premier League season, he was the big signing at the end of the window as we fixed that final problem on the left wing. And his 4 goals and 4 assists, just enough to help us survive on the final day. Then he signed for £7.5 million, had 3 decent seasons, was in the Premier League Team of the Year last year, bizarrely, despite starting 7 games. But to get £20 million for him in his late 20s, when Vasquez has come in as the replacement, Adamson is going on from strength to strength as first choice. I just think it's a great deal, a chance for him to play regularly, and a player who has made such a contribution to this club. Rather than dwindling down and not getting to play much, he gets to go and finish his career in style. I'm so proud of what he's done for us. 185 league appearances, and he'll be remembered very fondly by the fans of Southend United. Moving on to this year though, there are plenty more departures. Firstly, we've got David Harkin off on loan to Rotherham. He was at Lincoln, our feeder club last year, but did play for Rotherham the season before. A year in League One for him. Another one like Obixar. Might reach Premier League level, but we've just developed too quickly for him. It's one of those sad things. Joe Rose, who was a third choice keeper until last year, has gone on loan. He is now at Southampton, our former parent club, as their emergency backup. Good link between the two clubs and a good goalkeeper. Very happy he's got himself a move and some decent money. Ademola Okoye looked like being a star from our youth intake at one point. Not quite reached that next level, but he's gone on loan to Millwall. On loan to Bristol City, we've got 3 of our first team, and it looks like we've given them a brand new front 3 because Rasmus Jensen has gone there, and he is going to be one of their new centre forwards. 25 grand a week. They're paying all of his wages. He's got a future fee as well. He scored on his debut, as you can see. Silvestre Sanhueza has gone there for £9 million on a permanent deal, and he is going to be either a striker or a winger for them. We'll keep an eye on how he gets on. Ironically, the loan deal probably stops him being their first choice. And then the third one is David Mira, who we were trying to get rid of last year, went out on loan to Bodo Glint, and it worked out in the end because he's gone on loan to them. He will be joining permanently after for £10 million up front. And that is a really good deal for us for someone who we signed for about 5. And yes, we had to pay his wages for half a season last year, but they're covered by Bristol City this season, and then we're going to double our money. He did contribute to the club, just didn't work out for some reason, and maybe hasn't become quite as good as we expected. But again, good business by the football club. There are a couple of other youngsters going out on loan there before Valdo Kamara makes the move to Saudi Arabia. £12 million for a left back that we signed for less than £1 million. The director of football found him a few years ago. First season he did really well for us. Got overtaken again by Cameron Ishmael and then De Angelis. Last season had a good spell at Celtic, got themselves a title over there. Him and Rasmus Jensen were crucial on loan there. But unfortunately, just fell away from us. But signed for 775 grand, sold for 12 million, and now he gets to earn unbelievable money that will last him a lifetime by going over to Saudi Arabia. So good luck to him. Another man that you may have forgotten that's moved over to that part of the world is Rick George, who's gone for £8 million, rising to 10.5. He is a left back who we signed a few years ago for £4 million from Southampton. Played a few games for us in the first Premier League season and a couple of cup games the year after. In fact, a couple of European games it was. Had good loan spells at Fulham in the Prem last season and Coventry in a Championship the year before. And he's now gone for £8 million to Saudi Arabia. So again, we've doubled our money for someone who was never more than a backup player. The last big sale, though, after the loan of Simon Cummins, who's a decent youngster, is possibly the saddest one for me because this guy could have been a superstar. But a couple of really serious injuries have derailed it. He's now gone over to Saudi to Al Ettifaq, and it's Emir Williams. 12.5 million for the Welshman, who was our skipper, a year and a half ago. He got a serious injury the second half of last season with us. Went on loan to Bournemouth, got a serious injury for half a season there. And he's just not come back the same player. He's still a good one, but he's not as good on the ball as our centre-halves. He's lost a little of his mobility. And he's just not reached that top level of development that was expected. He's gone over there, but he's only getting 50 grand a week, which I find harsh. Again, we signed him for £6.5 million. He played 3 first choice seasons for us, and now he goes for 12.5 million. It's good business again. He's a good player, but unfortunately, injuries have stopped him reaching the very top level. We have got one more player who may be leaving the club soon as well as loan offers for young Alex Crowe. Andres Asensio has received an offer of £40 million from Chelsea. He's now our third choice right back. He's a sort of deputy midfielder as a utility man. But with Rakowski coming in last January, I want him to have those opportunities. So Asensio, as someone who's been a bit of a weak link, didn't feature much in the league last year, got a big sending off in that Champions League tie against United too. I wanted to let him go. And 40 million quid for someone that we signed for what, 11? Yes, it was. Very good deal for this football club again. A good player, did a job for us, but was never more than a squad player. And yet again, we're going to make a big profit for him. I should mention a couple of almost deals as well, because we did accept an offer for Martin Baranda that I considered too good to refuse earlier in the summer. Hull offered £38 million, which I thought for a backup right back was silly, to be honest, but he rejected the move. He's a good squad player. I'm happy to keep him as my number 2 right back. And then on the other side of that, we've got the unhappiness for some of the players that have stayed, because while a few have signed new deals and are moving on quite nicely, Mauricio is unhappy. It's not the fact he wants a new deal because he is underpaid. It's the fact that he wants to earn 100 grand a week. I'm not willing to do that. Kazuki Takatsuka is in that boat as well. We'll try and get that deal sorted soon. And then Aaron Berek has been going for a while. We're going to have a decision to make next summer, because he's a good player, but because of this unhappiness, he's not training that well. He's not improving, and he's only got 2 years left on his contract. So I think it's maybe the one thing that might happen before the end of this summer. If we do get a big offer for Berek, and if we do get the opportunity to bring in a top centre midfielder, that is an exchange I would probably do. Because while Jimenez has been very good as well, Bernberg probably needs someone better alongside him if we're going to win the title. And Bernberg, while an absolute superstar, is not ideal in that box-to-box role. So that's the plan for the rest of the summer. We are also trying to get rid of one centre-half, ideally Soren Hansen on loan. He is improving, but I want him to get regular football, because now with the addition of Peacock, we've still got Parker, who's homegrown at the club. We need to keep for that reason. Drew O'Day, I should mention as well. What a summer he's had. Went away to the Euros or the World Cup, whichever it was. Would have been a World Cup 2034, wouldn't it? And he has had an absolutely stonking summer. He's improved massively on and off the pitch. And he's now a very good level centre-half. And Jude Sadler finally got his call up for England. 2 appearances for him in friendlies. And very much on the cusp as their number 2. We tried to sign another goalkeeper. He rejected us for Brighton for 73 grand a week. You can't refuse that, can you? So all in all, this squad is looking very strong, very high quality. Of course, we'd like to trim it a bit, maybe by letting Crowe go on loan, Hansen on loan, selling Asensio. And then there's a decision to make on Joe Hugill, who at the moment is 5th choice striker. The reason I've not made the decision yet is because I'm worried about the interest in both Ivanov and Wills, and also the unhappiness of Mauricio, who's wanted by Everton. If we get an offer of 50, 60 million quid for him, I'll probably let him go in truth. So that's why we're just waiting on the Hugill deal. If not, I might be fair and let him go this summer. But otherwise, I am thrilled with where we are. And it's just a couple of players' unhappiness that's making me doubt things, because that has driven the club atmosphere down a bit from where it's normally been in recent months. The managerial support, the team cohesion, everything else is great. And the squad's looking pretty good at the minute. If we go through to the Premier League season preview, we're in good nick there as well. We're expected to finish in the top half for the first time by the media. And we are actually up with the areas we've been prior to last season. So the likes of Everton, Villa, Spurs competing in that realm. So let's see if we can do just that. And maybe add another trophy to the cabinet. We face Manchester United in the Community Shield final. But this isn't going to be easy for a couple of reasons. Firstly, because United normally batter us. But also, I've kind of misjudged this summer. We've had a few players away at the Euros. We've had a few injured. And there were a couple of games where, because we started pre-season late, I had to play the first team. And that has meant that we've got a lot of players struggling for fitness. I've actually scheduled another friendly for tomorrow, which I'm going to manage. But we've now got a few of our first team that have got a bit of a heavy match load and can't feature today. You can probably see some of the people we're being recommended to bring in. Adamson, Herbert, Memic, Wills, who all aren't going to feature. And we're coming up against the United side, who have got the likes of Højlund, Wirtz, Mainu, who are all at that peak around the age of 29, 30, 31 now. Trubin in goal, we know how good he is from the head coach save. Same as Wirtz, to be fair. And then Poku and Malu Gusto, 2 very good young players at the start of this save. So, not going to be easy. And I think we're probably going to come out on the wrong end of this. We've also got both right wingers injured, Takatsuka and Yukalano. Bernberg, Memic, Wills, O'Day, all left out of the squad entirely. On the bench, we're also leaving out Adamson, and we're having to make some big decisions elsewhere. So Peacock will make his debut at centre-half, Rakoski will go out at right-back, and Kranic will make his debut on the right wing, because he's the only one who can half play there, bar Asensio, who's leaving next week. Mauricio's also up front alongside Teddy Ivanov, who's not really fully fit. It's a little bit patched together for this game. I'm trying to balance match load, injury risk, because we've got a tough start to the Premier League season. Those three are more important. And while I could play all of the unfit players on the bench, they can feature in the friendly tomorrow, and then we should have everyone there. So this is the 11 I've opted for. Jude Sadler, the England international now, is in goal. De Angelis has a heavy match load, but not so bad on the minutes, so he will start at left back. Herbert is alongside him as always, but then Peacock and Rakoski make up the rest of a new look back four. Vasquez and Kranic, the two new boys, are in on the wings. Not an ideal position for Kranic, but we'll see how it works out. Berek comes in alongside Jimenez due to Bernberg being knackered. Then Mauricio and Ivanov up front. No risk to Joe Wills for the Premier League season. While it would be nice to win this and lay down a marker, I'm not risking anyone for the important competitions. So let's go and get through to it with our half and half team and see how strong it is against Manchester United. Well, here we go then, at Wembley Stadium again as we take part in a curtain raiser to the season for the first time. We've mentioned a couple of originals in Mino and Højlund. We've mentioned a couple we've managed at Bayern in the head coach in Trubin and Wirtz. Arne Slot, Liverpool bound in real life, not in this save, he's at Manchester United. And on the bench, there are no familiar names left, bar Bart Verbruggen, with the rest of them having a much younger and youthful feel. So let's go and get through to this. These fans have been fantastic. We've got De Angelis inspired, but there are a lot of players who won't know our style yet, and we might not get those reactions in a dressing room. Not like me to put all the debutants in at once, all three of the first team ones. But of course, this isn't an official league game, and when we get to the first league game of the season, the truth is you probably won't see any of them, because I would expect O'Day to come back in. One right winger will hopefully be fit, and on the left we'll be going for Ryan Adamson. So with 20 gone, we're pretty pleased it's 0-0. And we're also pretty pleased it's a quiet game, as De Angelis has a throw on the left for Vasquez. Can any of the new boys make an instant impact? Berek into the box, but it's intercepted, and Mainu can bring it away. Part of a pretty heavy United defeat the night before, as I'm recording this, as Birchall goes back to the goalkeeper Trubin, who we know is high quality. But we also know, if we go to a penalty shootout, he's not going to be saving any. We've got a bit of history with him there. As Wirtz gets the ball to Sarpé, great tackle by De Angelis. But Vasquez, you can't afford to do that here, mate. You're going to have to be a little bit tighter with your control. Mainu in midfield, goes for the switch. Kranic intercepts, Ivanov almost breaks free, but now Højlund does from the long ball at the other end. The question is, was he onside? I think my gut instinct says yes, he was. And that's my one worry with Peacock at the minute. He's just not quite quick enough. And while he will improve to an acceptable level by the time he develops, I'm not sure it's going to help us in the short term. So might not be regular football for him this year. But with 35 gone, it's 1-0 United. It's been a pretty nothing game, if we're being honest. It's not been great viewing. But most of my cup finals aren't, are they? I say that. The Europa League one was 4-3 and the FA Cup 3-2. Maybe I'm being harsh on myself. No, not again. Dodgy United penalty. Jared Gillett. Need to give you that camera again so you're held accountable, don't we? Into stoppage time. Penalty awarded against De Angelis. They're saying he was clattered. I mean, the animation needs some work if that's a clattering. Who's the number 10 stepping up? Florian Wirtz. Legend for us at Bayern and just beat Sadler. Probably should have saved that, to be honest. Down to his left. It sort of went through him. Was the right height for the keeper? We didn't make it count. Half time, it's going to be 2-0 to United. I'm not happy with that, I've got to be honest. Højlund and Wirtz, the two goal scorers, and we are going to say we're not doing enough. Now let's try and get a reaction in the next 15 or 20 minutes. Then we will make some changes as Vasquez puts in a poor free kick, which is dealt with easily by Trubin. I'm almost between a position of, do I rest people for next week or do I just go, let's bring on anyone we can? I mean, De Angelis is struggling with his match load a bit. Jimenez Berek would play next week, as will Ivanov. Don't know what the best move is, as Wirtz goes back to Nico, as I've proven this pre-season by making a complete hash of building fitness after the Euros. Not used to having so many players on international duty. Even 2 years ago, it was only 5 or 6 from the club. The ball goes back to Trubin and now Birchall. United could run riot here if we're not careful. And as we saw in the Champions League last year, they don't mind a few late goals. Though Berek has nicked it in midfield, he's running through. Drops to Mauricio. Vasquez into Ivanov. That's a great ball. Strikes it down into the floor and Trubin makes a great save. Ivanov probably should have done better there. But a lovely little looping ball from Vasquez, who is now on corner taking duty. It's up towards Herbert and is headed away. But almost a moment of magic from one of the new boys as Ivanov finds Herbert. Being forced backwards here. It does eventually peter out. But promising signs there at least. As Georgiou's got a throw on the left to Poku. Can United get stronger here in their position? Nico to Verts. Good ball into Sarpe. And Sadler with a lovely save. He's not had his best match. Rated 6.4, but that should improve it. And it does, as it's a corner kick which Sarpe will take. We shouldn't be getting done from set pieces with the 2 centre-halves we've got. Herbert heads that one away. It's back to the edge again to Aguirre. Now Birchall, the centre-half, and Nico. Good challenge, Berek, who's had a decent game to be fair. We then give the ball straight back to them though. And this is what I mean about resting people and match load, because in about 5 minutes, we were going to take De Angelis off. He's now being forced off beforehand, so it's going to be Ishmael on for him. It's probably changing my approach to a few of the others now as well. I'm going to bring Alfie Harrison on for Aaron Berek, who had a heavy match load too. I'm not going to bring Adamson on. What I'm going to do is go Joe Hugill for Mauricio. I'm going to go Soren Hansen for Lewis Herbert, because why not get the youngster on at this point? And then we've also got Harrison Parker I'd like to get on. And to be fair, I wouldn't mind getting Alex Crowe an appearance too. But for now, let's just confirm them. We'll make a couple more soon. We get 6 in a Community Shield, I think. With 65 gone. It's not looking like we're going to be getting back into it, is it? So I don't feel too bad about taking people off. As Rakowski, down the right-hand side, looks towards Ivanov, but just a hopeful channel ball. It's nothing with any precision. And again, we'll play out for United to Nico. Big ball out to the right. Ishmael doesn't get there, but he does win the second tackle. Only falls for Mainu, though. And he can break down the right at speed. Beats his man, lays it into Kamara. Ishmael looked like he fouled his man, but we got away with it. And Rakowski clears it straight back to Nico. Again, we're under pressure. Mainu up towards Poku. Into the box, there's 3 there. Hansen wins the head up. Vasquez just dallies a little bit. Doesn't quite get on the ball. And Gusto picks it up again on the right to Nico. Through to Verts, chance to shoot, but goes back to Gusto. They're toying with us here. It's like a training session. United win their first title in 20 years, and look at them go now. Poku into Hoyland, that's offside. Got to be offside. Apparently not. My eyes are deceiving me through hope more than expectation. Parker will come on for Peacock, who's not had a good first game. And I'd like to take Kranjic off, but it's not really a great option on the right. So I think we're going to do Jimenez for Crow. I know it might mean a heavier defeat, but it at least means that we get the youngster on the pitch. A big game at Wembley will help him. And if he's going out on loan in League One in the next couple of weeks, it will be nice for him to have had this experience. A quarter of the game to go, we're 3-0 down. And after an even first half an hour, it's all fallen away, hasn't it? Let's be honest here. We didn't expect to win the game, but we did expect to be a bit more competitive. And getting the injury to the one first team player we risked with a heavy match load is far from ideal just before we were going to take him off. Remarkably, it doesn't seem there is any more damage here. Hansen and Crow coming on hasn't weakened us as much as we thought. As Rakowski finds Hansen and now back to Jude Sadler, who's maybe going to have to do a bit of heavy lifting. I mean, we've never been the best at the back, but Rakowski, Hansen and Parker are our 4th, 5th and 6th choice centre-halves. And they're playing as the 2 centre-halves and right back here. Alex Crowe is a youth player with no quality. And to be fair, Cameron Ishmael not going to be playing an awful lot this year. Nowhere near De Angelis. I say that. That's a bad injury. He might be out for a while. As Hugo puts the ball forward. Ivanov's in. Can we get the goal to celebrate? I don't know, because VAR are checking it. Teddy Ivanov scores, which would be lovely for our start to the season. And look who's assisted it again. Joe Hugill, as the goal is awarded, has come off the bench to set one up. He's just too good on a big occasion. We only have 1 less shot on target, but we didn't look like winning a game. It is Manchester United who win the Community Shield. 3-1 at Wembley Stadium. And given the fact we rested a fair few on what we went for in the last half an hour, I don't think that's that bad. I've got to be honest with you. Not the competition we're worrying about too much. We've got all the debuts out the way. The big news, though, is how bad is this injury for De Angelis? It is 3 to 4 weeks, which basically means he'll miss all 3 games before the international break. Vasquez, Peacock and Kranic have made their debuts. We'll deal with the post-match press conference in a minute. Maybe that's an area we've got to look to improve as well. Do we just need one more left back? De Angelis is improving, but Cameron Ishmael is nowhere near. Veranda's nowhere near. I would almost be tempted to sell them both next summer and move on to a better backup left and right back. But I guess with Peacock, with Herbert, and of course with Rakowski as well, we've got young players that can shuffle across. Let's have a look, though, at those games because we know it's a difficult start. I think what we're going to do is come back for the Aston Villa game and then transfer deadline day. As long as deadline day is before the whole match, I think we'll be all right because Aston Villa have given us a nightmare at times over the years. And while we were brilliant in that FA Cup semi-final last season, we've had some absolute shocking days against Mourinho. And with those 3 difficult games to start, I feel it's important we show one of them. So Aston Villa and transfer deadline day to follow. Will there be that big change in midfield if Barek forces his way out? Will there be any fullbacks that go as well? If we get another 40 million offer for Baranda, I don't expect him to be sticking about too long. We have got a lovely run of fixtures after that, so hopefully it'll go well. But I'm still optimistic for the season. Let me know if you think I should be as well. 5 key players weren't even in the squad there. Another didn't come off the bench. And we competed for the most part with Manchester United with a lot of young players for the future. This squad, as I mentioned last year, it's only going to get better. And I think we've got a core of a squad now that could see us through to the end if we're able to keep hold of them. We might have some big decisions to make on wages, but let me know what you think of that summer transfer window and those 3 signings and all the players we've let leave the club too. We've got the Champions League again this season. We've got the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup that we're going to try and go for. And of course, in the FA Cup for the first time, we are defending champions. We've got something to hold on to. If you want to stay up to date and find out if we can this season, and subscribe and turn that notification bell on. Let me know what you think of our summer window and everything else as well. We also had what turned out to be the final episode of our head coach save at Bayern yesterday. Check it out in the eye above because it did finish in pretty hilarious circumstances as we begun a little experiment. And over the next 3 head coach slots, Friday, Sunday and Monday, we are going to be doing a full 3-part experiment on the Director of Football mode in FM and whether it's broken after the January update in FM24. So come and check those out. But in the middle of it, we'll return here on Saturday for our usual episode at Southend United. It's going to be a big one against Aston Villa. Is it still Jose Mourinho? It is. Will he be our bogeyman again? And will there be any more transfer work in the window? I'll see you next time to find out the answer. Before that, experiment time tomorrow.